Now, folks, if you'll just gather around a little closer now. Come right in a little closer. That's it. That's fine, folks.
All right, let's go, because you know what I came in to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
So the big question is what do we have with Johnny Fisher? He's 7-0 now, 6 knockouts. He only had 10 amateur bouts, of which he won 9 by knockout. February 23 will mark 2 years as a pro. On the Katie Taylor Carbajal card, he registered a first-round victory over Dominik Muzil from the Czech Republic, who late 2021 took David DILLIAN into the 4th round, and they're obviously marketing Fisher's quicker win in comparison to DILLIAN to say, well, look at that. Does it mean much? I'd suggest not. Sparred with the likes of Hughie Fury, Joe Joyce, and some really top-level heavyweights. Promoted by Eddie Hearn, and he's developing a fan base at a fast rate. Eddie Hearn said after the short fight with Muzil, at such an early stage in his career, he is the biggest British ticket seller since Ricky Hatton. I saw this coming after his first fight. Some of you may recall me comparing him to Billy Walker, a British heavyweight from the 60s who was a tremendous ticket seller. And I was seeing comparisons in the potential there. Johnny himself said, no matter what I do, I want to get to the top. I know it's a long way off, but why not go as far as you can? He said his limit might be British, English or European title. He's got a long way to go, but he wants to get to the top of the mountain. Now, at British level, Billy Walker came up short against the likes of Henry Cooper and Jack Bodell, and he came up short when he attempted to wrest the European title of Mildenberger, the German. So he certainly wasn't a world-level operator.
It's going to be interesting to see what Eddie does with him, because obviously, look, he's a big ticket seller. They're going to want to make sure they match him carefully. The Southern Area heavyweight title was vacant. Fabio Wardley fighting Nathan Gorman means the English heavyweight title is vacant. I asked those questions and Eddie seemed to kind of bat both of them away. I thought a Southern Area title, I thought he's ready for that. Eddie maybe doesn't think so. So I think he's still going to have fights like this. Tougher guys, maybe guys that take him a few more rounds, and don't expect him to do anything until he's like 11, 12-0. And then maybe he'll go for an area title.
Johnny is very raw, doesn't have much amateur experience. So a Southern Area title next year, 3rd year as a pro, or maybe 2024. Will Eddie go for that? The problem Eddie is faced with as promoter is the more tickets he sells and the more attention and headlines he gets, the more impatient fans will become for him to step up. The more the critics will say, well, he's just a hype job who sells tickets and you're protecting him. And fighters often have sensitive egos. And Eddie's going to be doing a lot of spin and explaining why they're developing him at the pace they're developing him. And it will be up to Jimmy Tibbs to keep him on the straight and narrow and set him straight and said, look, don't listen to none of that shit. You fight who's put in front of you and you do your job, I do my job, and Eddie does his job. I think Johnny's old man is going to play a big part in all of that because he seems to be like a rock in Johnny's life. They're not going to let hangers-on or outsiders try and get in on the bandwagon and sway Johnny this way or that way, tell him to do certain things that might not be in his best interest. I don't think his old man's going to have that for a start. Super Arena, Saitama, Japan. We had a unification bout at light flyweight as KENSHIRO Teraji stopped HIROTO Kyoghuch in the 7th round. Teraji held the WBC strap and Kyoghuch held the WBA. He was also the Ring Magazine champion, I believe. Now, Teraji proved himself the better boxer, and the feet established domination for him. He had the quicker feet. I don't know if Kyoghuch started slow or if all wasn't well with preparation for the fight, or perhaps Teraji is just a superior athlete, but his feet were way quicker and his feet kept him out of the range of Kyoghuch's right hand. At the same time, Teraji always stayed in range to land good jabs and combinations, and he was controlling the flow of the bout. The 4th round exploded and Kyoghuch did land a very good right hand, which hurt Teraji, but Teraji came back with some body shots, and now we had a war on our hands right there. Very good round. The body shots, the damage they'd done, were not evident until the 5th round began. Kyoghuch was desperate to get something in hard, and he was leaning in. His feet weren't doing the work to get him in range, although he did land some stiff jabs and some power shots all throughout. The better technique came from KENSHIRO Teraji, and he jabbed beautifully using his feet. And then a 1-2, whilst moving, sent Kyoghuch down. And the writing was on the wall from here, really. Teraji was now in full control, letting his hands go. Kyoghuch bravely rolled, covered up, tried to throw back counters, but on the back foot his power was even more so neutralized, and the fight was slipping away from him. Teraji abandoned the jab and was landing beautiful right uppercuts, left hooks, right hooks, every punch in the book landing. Kyoghuch took a real beating, a bad beating this round. He's got a very good chin, I'll say that for him. The fact he actually rallied back and took the last half minute with some hard punches. Very tough man, very tough man. Both men went down when they got tangled up after a vicious exchange, vicious exchanges. You have to give boxers all the credit in the world. Like, you give Teraji the credit for the skill he displayed on the offensive, and you give Kyoghuch the credit for the gutty resolve to come back from that beating and still be trying to win. In the slow motion replay, Kyoghuch actually landed a very good left hook near the end of the round. Not surprisingly, the pace slowed in the first minute of the 6th. Both men were looking to establish their jabs and reset. Teraji in the 6th, his pot shots looked more eye-catching because his feet always give him that angle. But you couldn't ignore Kyoghuch's work. It was a very close round. Maybe the only round Kyoghuch won, as he doggedly came forward on the front foot. Good round of boxing, round 6. No major damage done by either man. Estrada versus Chocolatito 3, December the 3rd is what it says at the bottom of the screen there. Advertised it. Wow. DAZN not playing, especially with the lower weights. Not playing. Not playing at all. Nobody can test DAZN on the lower weights. Nobody. But back to the unification. The paler skinned Teraji would have to throw the fight away after all the good work he's done. And he wasn't about to do that. He landed a beautiful right cross. And then the boxing display continued. Beautiful slight step backs, then come back with hard, powerful counters. And he's throwing them in multiples. Kyoghuch wouldn't give up. He still tried to work that jab. But you had a feeling that if he couldn't establish the front foot from the ring center, it was always a tough art for him. Teraji's 1-2 continued to pepper his man, and Kyoghuch still came back with good right hand counters, snapping Teraji's neck a little. Kyoghuch landed a great right cross late in the round, but Teraji showed a beard and ate it. Came back with his own right cross, followed up with another right cross that rocked him into the ropes, and the referee had to jump in and halt this one. 7th round, what will they register that as? Knockout or TKO? TKO victory. Very impressive. He's now 20 wins, 12 stoppages, 1 loss. As Kyoghuch falls to 16-1, 11 inside the distance, and the 1 loss which Teraji inflicted on him today. I have a feeling he'll be back though. Hopefully Teraji goes on to try and unify the whole division. There's still Siv Montishinga out there who I haven't seen fight. I'll have to do some research. And Jonathan Gonzalez, who I definitely have seen fight. I just can't remember where, but I definitely have. Breaking news, people. Breaking news. DILLIAN is teaming up with Malik Scott. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, there he is. He's cool with Malik. Everything's amicable. Ollie Harrison is on the far left. And Gerald Washington is in camp with DILLIAN, and they've been sparring. I guess a lot of people are going to be shocked at that, not know what to make with it. But DILLIAN, I don't believe, had any beef with Malik. It was mostly with Deontay. So, now, I'm no fan of these modern-day boogeymen in boxing, because normally, they ain't no boogeymen. So, when dudes like David Benavidez start running their mouth saying nobody wants to fight them, it's often not long before they get called out. And David Morrell insists that he's focused on his fight this weekend, and he should be. But he does respond to David Benavidez' statement that nobody wants to fight him and says, well, here I am. I'm here and ready to fight. Morrell, 7-0, 6 knockouts. He holds a secondary WBA super middleweight title. He takes on Eidos Yabasanuli, his mandatory challenger from Kazakhstan. 16-0, 11 knockouts. On November the 5th, a Showtime triple header from the Armory in his adopted hometown of Minneapolis. This is his second fight of the year. And he said if he wins on Saturday, his goal is to fight David Benavidez. And, you know, let's see some of these PBC super middleweights stop begging for fights with you-know-who and actually fight each other. If Canelo don't want to fight you, okay, he's a cherry picker, he's the ducker, so what the fuck what? You going to live off that forever? Go fight somebody who we want to see you fight. Now, Morrell won a fight around the same time that Benavidez faded David Lemieux. And there was talk that a fight could happen soon after that. But I bet you any money that Benavidez and Samson Laukowitz start talking that, Morrell hasn't done anything. He doesn't warrant a fight with us. And when people argue the same thing with David, that he hasn't done anything and doesn't warrant a fight with Canelo, they're going to get all bent out of shape and be asking why Canelo don't want the fight. And the truth is, they both got secondary belts. I don't know if they can put them on the line against each other, because they are secondary belts. But forget the belts, you know, that's the next fight to make. Nobody's interested in these guys' fights right now. You need to fight each other. It's getting to that time at the PBC. It's getting to that time. I mean, you're looking at an organization who have been the most reluctant to do cross promotions, but have several of their boxers like waiting around for this Canelo fight. It doesn't make sense. Dimitry Bivol. Tell you what, give me Johnny Beck before Dimitry Bivol. It might be a bit excessive, Johnny Beck talking about he wants to put Denzel Bentley in a wheelchair, but passion. There's passion there. Dimitry Bivol has no passion. Like, there's 3-4 days to go before the big showdown in the United Emirates. Bivol defends against ZURDO. Now, Bivol not the biggest 175 pounder we've seen. He's actually spoke about fighting at 168. And ZURDO, we know, may well show up at the weigh-in, or shall I say, rehydrate to at least 200 pounds. He rehydrated 29 pounds against Dominic Brazil. And unless something crazy happens at the weigh-in on Friday, we expect pretty much the same against Bivol. Huge weight advantage. And when you hear ZURDO talking, this will be an exciting fight for the fans. You know, my body punching, my high work rate, and my size will wear him down. And I'm not expecting Bivol to turn into Bob Foster and threaten knockouts. But he went into this big flipping sermon about, no disrespect to Arturo Gatti, but there's no way you can fight like that and be healthy. And whether he would let his kids fight, well, if they fought like Floyd Mayweather, yes. If they fought like Arturo Gatti, no. You know, this guy's forgetting that Floyd had a few phases in his career. Before a pretty boy, there was a Money Mayweather who threw hands. And he went on this long tangent about safety first boxing. How his friend Dardashev died after the bout with Sabril Matthias. How one of his friends in the amateurs died in the ring because he took too much damage. If you're going to go in there and be safety first, at least don't tell the punters. Because the punters are thinking, well, is this guy really committed to bringing the pain? And it doesn't sound like it. Doesn't know how to sell a fight. Not one bit. But I'll be tuning in. It's part of my DAZN subscription. But if this was pay-per-view and I heard him talking like that, and let's not get it twisted, I like skillful boxing. Yes, of course. I like boxers to use their brain as well as brawn. But Lord, it's a bit excessive, isn't it? He went on and on and on and on and on about how his dad told him that whether he was sparring or in competition, if he takes too much damage, I'm going to stop the fight, even if you're winning. And there were periods since this fight was announced where I thought Bivol might just be too skillful, but hearing him talk there, is he prepared to go out there and try and do enough damage, as I believe ZURDO is prepared to do? I just don't think so. I'm going to go for ZURDO to win. Points. Defense and worrying about self-preservation is a vital aspect of boxing. Let's not ignore that. But this is world championship boxing at the highest level. And there has to be a balance struck where you commit to offense. And if necessary, put yourself in danger to get the win. And I'm not sure if this is Dimitry Bivol. Maybe his kids is getting older. He's advancing in his career and he's more in tune with his mortality. He's looking at the clock, his career clock, and thinking, I might be out of here soon. I'm going to try and preserve myself in my remaining fights. Is that his mind state right now? I bet you any money now I pick ZURDO, Bivol goes out there and knocks him out in a round.
Fans, you're like...
Well, it's also history making.
Yeah.
I'll be the first heavyweight champion in history to complete 2 trilogies.
I guess we all know that's bullshit. I mean, I brought up Jack Johnson. He fought several heavyweights, some up to 7 times. let alone trilogies. And everybody's pointing at Muhammad Ali, his trilogies with Ken Norton and Joe Frazier. Some other people pointed out in my comment section, you know, I'm getting old, so they have to do a bit of the thinking for me now. Holyfield had trilogies against Riddick Bowe and John Ruiz. I always brag that I have some of the most intelligent boxing fans who follow my content. Jimmy McIlvaine drops a beauty. Jack Dempsey fought Billy Misk and Al Norton in trilogies. Bob Fitzsimmons fought Bill Slavin and Jim Hall 4 times each. Lloyd Crooks, my man Lloyd, drops a beauty. What about Ezra Charles? 4 times he fought Jersey Joe Walcott and Archie Moore 3 times, Hall of Famers. Yep. And I'm sure Ezra fought Joey Maxim around 3 times. Maybe more. Jersey Joe Walcott, trilogy with Ezra Charles, in fact, 4 fights. He fought Elmer Ray 4 times and fought Joey Maxim 3 times. Tyson Fury fanbase see me as the enemy, and it's not like I'm telling lies on the guy. He's telling the lies, and I'm debunking them, and they're getting mad at me, worrying if I'll be rich in the morning or if I'm living in my mama's basement. Well, some people have to live in their mama's basement. There's some people homeless right now. I was near homeless when I was young. What is it you're telling me? What exactly is this supposed to do to me? I find it fascinating how some people try to weaponize the most fucked up things that can happen to people, weaponize it against them. Oh, I bet you live in your mom's basement. I bet you're homeless living in a cardboard box. I bet you got AIDS. I bet you got beat up and robbed today. What kind of people are these? Yeah, like, Tyson Fury lied. The lies got debunked. There you are, a grown man, fanboying for the liar, mad at me when I didn't tell no lies.
And I won't be doing any more interviews with you little top bearded.
No worries, mate. Thanks very much.
Kiss my balls, you little one. You little shit house.
Have you worked out how to close this phone? Are you alright? Hit the button at the bottom.
So Frank Warren and Tyson Fury becoming the untouchables. It seems like the media has to be pleasant to them or they won't get interviews or access credentials, etc., etc. They might be advised not to do any media in the build-up for this fight, if that's the case, because judging by what the public and the media are saying, they don't want to see it. What is it Frank and Tyson Fury want them to say? Yeah, we really want this fight. They don't want to see it. I'm not mad at the fight. I'm actually not mad at it. I'm not paying for it. Every time I say that, I'm going to repeat that. But the public and media have spoken. They don't want to see it. I'm actually not sure if it will happen. I'm actually not sure.